prompt is the most important part of any AI receptionist. It's what makes the AI actually work. A good prompt will create an AI receptionist that does 4 things well: behave human, follow rules, handle questions, and use tools and functions. A bad prompt will create an AI receptionist that breaks. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to create a prompt that works with any AI receptionist build and on any AI voice platform. If you are serious about building and selling AI voice agents and receptionists, I run a school community where over 150 of us are building and selling AI voice agents every day. I have an entire classroom section set up, created to take you from beginner to your first client in 14 days. I also offer a template vault where you can download all of the builds from any one of my YouTube videos. I'll leave it as the first link in the description. Now let's get into the build of this prompt. So there's a few things you want to keep in mind, or in the back of your head rather, before you start creating a prompt. So you need to know 3 main things. You have an overview, what your AI receptionist is, what it does. You have the tools and functions, no matter how many you have, no matter how little you have. And then you have a knowledge base section, whether or not you want to attach a knowledge base. We're going to make sure to create a prompt that is plug and playable. So no matter what I put inside my prompt, you can take it and easily customize it for your use case. We're going to follow a simple framework. So I label it the RRKTTEC framework. We're going to have a role section, then a rule section, then a knowledge base section, tools and functions, transfers, example dialogue, and closing. 7 core sections. This framework will help you create a prompt that rarely breaks. Now that we have our framework, let's get started on the actual prompt, and we're going to want to keep these things in mind: the overview, the tools and the functions, and our framework. So I'll be referencing that throughout the prompt, and we're going to start building right in here. There's going to be 2 main things to keep in mind when creating your prompt. First is that you want your prompt to be in markdown format, which is pretty much just bullet-like format, but without the actual bullets. And then second, your prompt is read from top to bottom. So you want to put the more important and universal things right at the top, which is why our first section is always a role section. You're going to tell the AI right off bat who it is and what it's doing. So there we go. That's it for the role section. We have 3 main components, which is who it is, what it's doing, and behavioral characteristics. Next, we have our rules section. Here's where you want to define instructions for it to follow throughout the entire phone call. We're going to number these, and the first one that I always put under the rules section is if the caller mentions an emergency, invoke transfer_call. So we just referenced our first tool. That's why it's important to know your tools and functions before you're actually creating the prompt, because you want to create the prompt, and half the time you're going to be referencing your tools or functions. If you don't already have them created, it's going to be much harder to do that. The second rule I always put is the caller's number is, and then dynamic variable, user_number. So when something is in double curly brackets, that means it's a dynamic variable. It's something that the AI already has access to, and it changes per phone call. With most AI voice platforms, you can use this dynamic variable, and if you put it inside the prompt, the AI will know, okay, I have the caller's phone number, let me pull it when I need it. The last rule you're going to want to put is the current time is, and then paste in your location's time. Use it for anything time related. This is another dynamic variable. This works as long as you type it in correctly. So just make sure if you don't know yours, look it up. On to the next section, we have the knowledge base section. In the knowledge base section, you want to say something like you have access to, and then put the business's name right here. So I'll put Smile Dental Clinic, knowledge base. Use it to answer questions. If you don't have the answer, don't guess, invoke transfer call. Again, referencing another tool. I'll put asterisks, by the way, next to things that are important. You'll see that a little bit throughout this prompt. Quick side note, if you guys are finding this video at all helpful, please like and subscribe. I post videos on AI receptionists twice a week. Liking and subscribing only motivates me to post more. Now let's get back to the video. Now we're on to T, so our tools and functions section. So we want our AI to be able to check availability and book appointments. So I'm going to start and appointment flow. The first thing I'm going to add in is that appointment slots are 30 minutes. And then we're going to add a double hashtag, which is a subsection, and the subsection is going to be a goal. By putting 2 hashtags, the AI knows that this is a subsection of the section right above it. Under the goal section, we want to just lay out a simple goal for the appointment flow. Handle appointments like a human receptionist and only ask one question at a time. And now we're going to lay out the questions we want the AI to ask when the caller asks to book an appointment. So the first thing we want the AI to ask the caller is for their name. So we instruct it, ask for their name, and we give it an example. Great, can I have your name for the appointment? So when someone says, can I book an appointment? We're telling our AI, say, great, can I have your name for the appointment? And we're also letting it know that first name only is fine. If you want it to collect full name, ask for first name and last name. The next thing we want the AI to ask the caller is for their phone number. The good news is we already have the caller's phone number. So we wrote confirm the phone number. Use user number by default. For example, you can say, is the number you're calling from the best one to use for the appointment? If not, then we want to collect their phone number by manually asking for it. The last thing we want to collect is the date and time. So ask the caller what time works best, and then again, we give another example. And those are the 3 things we want our AI to ask from the caller: the name, the number, and the date and time. You can add as many as you like. If you want to ask the caller why they're coming in, ask why they're coming in. If you want to only ask for their name and the date and time, only ask for name and date and time. I mean, hell, if you just want to ask for date and time, just ask for date and time. It really doesn't matter. You can configure this however you would like. Just depends on what information you want to collect in regards to booking appointments. Now that we have the 3 fields down that we're collecting, we want to start the checking and the booking flow. So again, this is going to be a double hashtag, and we're going to write checking and booking flow. And in this section is where we're going to put our actual tools. So we're going to write invoke, and we're going to mention our tool, check availability, to see if the time is open. Next, we want to write if it's booked, inform the caller, and suggest alternate times. We'll also provide an example. That time slot is booked. I have 3 closest alternatives. Now that we have the check availability tool taken care of, next we want to tell it when to use the book appointment tool. So once a time's confirmed, whether it's the one that they select to begin with or the AI offers alternatives, whenever we land on a time, we want to invoke the book appointment tool to book the appointment. Again, referencing one of the tools that we have configured. Next, we want to confirm the appointment. So let's just say all set, name of the caller, your appointment is booked for the day and time that they selected. We look forward to seeing you. Lastly, as a fallback, it's optional, but I like to put it in there. If the appointment fails, invoke transfer call. Okay, next we have another T. So our transfer section. My transfer section is always the same, no matter who I'm building for. I literally just copy and paste this section for every AI receptionist. I write, if the caller requests a live person or you cannot help, say one moment while I transfer you and invoke the transfer call tool. That kind of speaks for itself. This section creates a fallback for the entire prompt. Pretty much if anything ever goes wrong, it's going to transfer the call back to the business. If the caller ever wants to speak to a live person, it's going to transfer the call back to the business. This takes a lot of pressure off of your AI, and it just makes you kind of feel better that if something does go wrong, you know that the caller will still be in good hands. This is also an important point to bring up to the business. Let them know that you can prompt the agent to transfer the call whenever you would like. Now, after the transfer section, we have our example dialogue section. So I'm going to come down here and we're going to write example dialogue. Now, here's where you want to throw in how an ideal phone call would go. So in most cases, you are going to be aware of what most phone calls are like for that business. You know, what calls do they receive the most? In that case, you want to think about what call they receive the most, what type of call they receive the most, and configure how a call would ideally go. So here I've configured one for Smile Dental Clinic. So in most cases, somebody's calling to book an appointment. So the first line we have is, "Thank you for calling Smile Dental Clinic. How can I help you?" And the caller will most likely say something like, "Can I book an appointment?" And then the conversation proceeds from there. This is great for giving the AI context on how you want it to respond. It's an optional section, but I strongly, strongly recommend that you plan out a call flow such as this one. Now, lastly, we have one more section, and that is our closing section. If you recall, there is one tool that we haven't added yet, and that's the end call tool. So that's where this comes into play. My closing section is also the same across any build. I just copy and paste it from build to build. This is how I configure my closing section. So I tell the AI before ending the call, say, "Is there anything else I can help you with today?" And if the answer is no, then say, "Thank you for calling." I have the business's name right here. So we'll put Smile Dental Clinic. Have a great day, and invoke the end call tool, ultimately ending the phone call. And there it is. That is what every prompt that I build looks like. I've been prompting for almost a year. I've used almost every AI voice platform out there. I've built an AI for almost every industry out there, and I can tell you the prompt does not get better than this. I always refer to the prompt as the spine of any AI receptionist. It is the backbone, and it's what everything plugs into. Just like a spine in a body, all the nerves come out of it. It's the same thing with an AI receptionist. Your prompt, all the settings, all the functions, the knowledge base, everything plugs directly into it. And if it's weak, everything will come falling down, everything will crumble. If you're having problems with your AI receptionist, there's probably something in your prompt that is not properly configured. The good news is, creating your prompt is essentially like talking to ChatGPT. You can treat it just as so. If it does something that you don't like, go inside the prompt and write, "Don't do this." If you want it to do something, such as collect a person's reason for coming in for an appointment, simply make a purpose section and say, "Collect the purpose for why the caller is coming in for an appointment." And then one thing to understand is that during the phone call, the LLM, which is the brain behind your prompt, like GPT 4.1 or whatever you're using, as it's going through the phone call, it's collecting all this information, it memorizes everything, and it's organizing everything in its head. So when you add tools and functions to your AI receptionist, it knows what to use and where. For example, since I have 3 fields that I'm collecting, and they're all under the appointment flow, name, number, date, and time, when I add that book appointment tool or function, the AI will know, okay, I'm supposed to book appointments with the caller's name, their number, and their date and time. And it'll send that information over to the workflow platform, straight into the calendar, however you have the function set up, and it'll book the appointment with that information. Remember the 4 pillars that we have when it comes to prompting. You want your AI to behave human. You want it to follow rules, handle questions, and use the tools and functions well. And that all comes down to how you prompt your receptionist. If you guys want to build and sell AI receptionists among other like-minded entrepreneurs, make sure to check out my school group. We're doing it every day. We're seeing success stories like I've never seen before. The AI voice space is creating a new wave of thriving AI businesses because of how simple they are to set up and how valuable they are to the business that's buying them. If you want to get into AI and make money while doing so, this is the best place to start. The group is 60% off right now. So like I said, I'll leave it as the first link in the description. Now, prompting may be the most important part of building an AI receptionist, but it's not the only part. If you want to learn how to complete a full build of an AI receptionist using my favorite AI voice platform, Retell AI, right up here is a video of me building an AI receptionist for a business that is worth over $3,000 a month.